Yeah, that would be fun once we have like a good amount of listeners to show up live.
Yeah, so talking about future of our brilliant podcast, which is totally brilliant.
Yeah,
I'm really
it
excited
is.
about where it's going. Like, this is really, we've got a good show going.
I agree.
I'm really proud of it. Okay. So hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Belgariad and Beyond podcast. We're up to chapter 17 of Porn of Prophecy, and Garion's right in the mix this week. My name is Sondra Turnbull. I'm from the Goddess Kindled universe, and I'm here with my podcast partner, Alysia. Say hi to the good folks, Alysia.
Hey everybody. Good to be here. I'm excited for this chapter because it was action filled. You know, and I apologize to Sondra because I'm going to be massaging my head like the whole episode.
Oh, you don't have to apologize at all.
She gets to watch.
I'm like thinking, oh, that looks really relaxing and nice. I might start, zoning out a little bit.
Yeah, I'm trying to get this headache under control and it's just not cooperating.
Oh, honey, have you got some water before we get into things?
Yeah, I do. I have water here.
All right. So, well, let's go straight into Polgara's cup, and I'll keep an eye on the time, and we'll just no dilly-dallying tonight, my darling.
Yeah. So, you want to go first? How was your week?
Oh, okay, I'll go first. So, this week my potion has been hot honey tea. Soothing and restorative. I've been formatting the workbook of my new nonfiction experiential guide. So the paperback's been the paperback was released, and so from the paperback I'm creating a workbook with lots of journaling space and drawing space and that sort of stuff. And I finished the whole thing, and then I realized that it was in the wrong freaking size, the wrong trim size, so I had to start again in the right trim size, and I just finished that today. So it was okay that happened. I didn't get the frustrating that overwhelm that sometimes kicks in, like I feel like I failed. I didn't get that feeling. So I'm learning. Yeah. So I'm learning how to iterate my business processes without and appreciating each time for what it is and what it can teach me and what I get out of it, rather than feeling like, when I have to start over, it's because I failed. So that's big growth, I think. I think that's a big shift for me.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, and so that didn't go quite as planned. And then, but so the hot honey tea part is like, because, when your throat gets really rough and sore, you kind of have hot honey tea, and it's like a soothing kind of thing. And so this whole experience with having to start over with the formatting of an entire manuscript felt kind of, it felt soft. There was nothing sharp about it. There was no kind of horrible, unkind voice in my head, telling me what a dreadful job I'd done. There was none of that. It was really beautiful. And as just as an aside, talking about my throat, I snore like a frenzied lumberjack. Like, it's really, really chronic. And my poor Hanukkah, my poor Pixie, is quite a light sleeper. So I bought her really good earplugs like a couple of years ago because my snoring was so bad. Lately, I've been waking up with a sore throat. My soft palate literally closes my airways off, and it's so bad. And Pixie was at the dentist last week, and she saw an ad on their TV for like a mouth, like it's like almost like a mouth guard kind of affair that you can get fitted for snoring.
Wow.
and so we thought, we're starting to look into that. I said, well, maybe that's a good idea. We'll give it a try. But, it's quite expensive, and you've got to go through insurance and all that sort of stuff. And I thought, well, what if it doesn't work? And so we found this alternative, this much, much, much cheaper kind of thing that you could we ordered it over the internet. It's called Mr. Anti-Snore. And so it's like a little mouth guard, and with this plastic form that you soak in hot water, and then you put it in your mouth and you clamp your teeth down. I know nobody can see me, that I'm doing all the actions for you. Podcast, yeah, it's a podcast, Sondra. So you put it to your teeth and like push it and fit it to your teeth, and you line your front teeth up so your bottom jaw is slightly forward. Just a little bit, and it freaking well works. 2 nights now, no snoring at all.
Wow.
At all. And the only difference is it just pulls my bottom jaw forward just a little bit and creates that extra space in the back so my soft palate doesn't collapse.
Is it comfortable sleeping that way? You don't...
It's a bit weird. Like, it's kind of bulky in my mouth. I feel like I'm going to go and play football or something.
Yeah.
But, like, surprisingly, I don't wake up in a puddle of drool, so that's nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember, like, trying to sleep with the mouth guard when I was grinding my teeth, and I couldn't even put that thing in. It bugged me.
So, well, that's a bonus. I grind as well, and none more of that. So yeah, it's weird. But I've only worn it for 2 nights, so ask me again next week if I'm still wearing it. But it works.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, and I remember last week you were having the throat thing too, with the coughing and the...
Yeah, so...
Seems like a whole throat thing going on.
Oh, my God. I just had a little tiny epiphany. This whole throat chakra thing. Like opening up and using my voice. I have just opened up my throat chakra a little bit more. Oh, okay. It's all coming together.
Yep. It all pieces together.
That's my very long potion tale.
Sounds good.
How's your week been?
Let's see. Well, my cup, I say it was filled with like the thick muck for a while, but then using my magic, I transformed it into this like rich, dark chocolate that was really yummy. But yeah, I had some more experiences with like these dark emotions. Just, I don't know what they do. They just take hold, and then I don't function through the day. So there was all day Sunday. I just was stuck there. It started Saturday night, actually. I've been having a lot of things with my head, that not just headaches, but like this weird kind of feeling where my head feels so fuzzy that I can't focus. And I guess it's like a really severe head fog, but I literally can't do anything but sit and lay down and like close my eyes, but then sometimes I have to open them because closing them makes it worse. And it's just an awful feeling. And so I also spent a lot of time on Sunday figuring out why, because that used to happen to me a lot. And then during the time I had started eating really clean, pretty much vegan, like my health was obviously like the best it ever was, and that had stopped. And now that it's coming back, I'm kind of like, okay, I know I haven't been eating that well. So what specifically did I eat that day? And I tied it back to gluten. So I've decided to cut gluten again.
Yep.
And I don't do dairy, and I'm really trying to stick to plant-based as much as I possibly can through the day. Mm-hmm. And it has helped. Like, I already feel my digestion coming back to good. And now I'm just really trying to cleanse these headaches, because I was taking Excedrin, which is like Tylenol with caffeine, every day, because I was getting headaches every day and I couldn't function. But I'm like, I don't want that in my body. I want to be clean. So I need to like detox and let myself suffer through headaches for like a week, and then hopefully they'll be gone. That's my hope. So we'll see how that goes.
And are you a water drinker? Do you drink lots of water?
I know, but since I've started this too, I've been drinking 8 glasses of water a day.
Oh, good, because that will really help flush it all out.
Yeah. So I'm hoping this is, going back uphill from here, that with physical health and emotional health. Like I also got the really amazing book from that woman. I mentioned her before on here, that she's the one that gave me that glowing green smoothie recipe. She's got a new book out, and I just got it yesterday, and I started reading it, and she really goes in deep on
What's the name of the book?
Well, the name is I think it's a little cheesy, but it's called Recipes for Your Perfectly Imperfect Life.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah, it's a little cheesy, but she's so awesome.
Yeah,
because she goes in deep and like shares a lot of her own journey and the dark of her journey. And she ties it, because she's a nutritionist, she can tie it together, what you're physically putting into your body and how it also ties into the emotional things you're going through.
Oh, so much.
And everything that you experience, how it's all like interconnected. And so I already know and trust everything that she's done. So having this book to be able to read through is like a blessing, because it's gonna, I think, help me so much. And it has over 100 new recipes from her, and I was looking through them last night. Oh my goodness, I cannot wait to try some of them.
This is perfect timing for you.
Oh, good. Yeah, I know. I was so excited, because I feel like I brought this book into my life too, because
Yep.
I don't necessarily have the means to go out and buy like extra stuff sometimes.
Yeah.
But it literally happened Monday evening. Some cash just fell into my lap, and I'm like, I was just thinking I wanted this book, and now I can go get it.
Nicely done.
Yeah, so that was fun. But yeah, so that's been my week. Just
okay, cool.
Trying to heal myself.
Oh, well done. Yeah. Ultimately, we all heal ourselves, don't we?
Yeah. Yep, you got to do it yourself, I think.
Okay, let's get into Garion's view.
So chapter 17. So Garion was at the end of last chapter, decided he was going to go tell Barak. And so it starts with him finding Barak and telling him what he's been seeing. And then Barak mentions Garion about his doom, and kind of asks him, what did you see out there when I was changing? I know you saw it. And then Meryl, Barak's wife, I don't know if she was there the whole time or just shows up, but she's just kind of really being annoying by still like pestering him, like, I'm just doing my duty. But then the three of them decide that they're going to go tell Mr. Wolf and Aunt Pole and everybody else of what Garion saw. So they do. And it's at this moment that Mr. Wolf seems to think of something and has Aunt Pole check him for it. And sure enough, there is something, a little bit of a touch there of whatever this thing is. But then Aunt Pole says, you need to go to your room and rest so that I can come talk to you in a little bit about everything you've ever seen with Asherak, anytime you've ever come in contact with him. But then when Garion goes to his room, who's waiting for him but Asherak with like a little mini army, and they try to catch him and he runs away.
Mm-hmm. That's the chapter.
Yeah.
Well, show's over. See you next week, guys. No, I was joking. That was very funny. I might even edit that out.
Yeah, but I really like this chapter. I think it's, again, there's been a couple throughout the book, but this is another one that's really got me like interested to see where everything's gonna go.
Yeah, we're getting, it's really sort of starting to happen. The things are starting to move ahead.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's often the case when you're reading a series, especially like a series that's longer than 3 books. Like this is a series of 5 books.
Right.
And ultimately the story continues through another series of 5 books until the culmination of this particular set of characters.
Wow.
So yes, we're going to do lots and lots of shows.
So then there's ultimately like 10 books in this
For
world?
these characters. Yeah.
Wow.
And even
cool.
then there are more, because there are then there's a book for Polgara and a book for Belgariad.
Wow.
Separate again, which it sort of goes back into their beginnings. And so I seriously, I have high hopes that this show will run for a very long time, because I'd love to do all of the books.
All of them.
Yeah.
That would be awesome. It's yeah, like Lord of the Rings has like the prequel stuff that goes from the beginning of time and teaches you all of it. That's cool.
Lots of magic and shenanigans in our futures, I think. The chapter begins with Garion at Barak's door, banging on the door, calling out to Barak. And Barak's just like, go away, go away, go away. But Garion's really insistent and says, like, I have to talk to you. And then finally Barak opens the door. And what's your impression? Like, how do you imagine this scene in your mind when Barak opens the door?
I imagine like Garion's reaction to be kind of humorous. Like, whoa, what happened to you? Kind of reaction.
Yeah, that's exactly how I see it too. Like, it's written that Barak opens the door and is just completely disheveled and rumpled and matted, and his braids are undone, and his like hair sticking out, and his clothes are dirty, and just he looks. And I love the way that it's written. His self-loathing is so beautifully and really simply described as like a mixture of horror and self-loathing that was so naked that Garion was forced to avert his eyes. And that was really a powerful description for me.
Yeah, I like that, because it feels like it's kind of like the journey that we each have to go on to be able to come to a place. And sometimes we're forced into it, like Barak was, where you can just be completely raw and vulnerable with somebody else in the room with you. Like a lot of people can't, even with somebody like their life partner or something, And so like the fact that Barak's in that place now, I think is just a really, it's like something we can all learn from, to be like, wow, that's, he had to go through all of that.
And it's interesting that you say forced to sort of go into that vulnerable place, and he really was. But and very often on an underworld journey, or when we're forced to descend, it's not by choice. Like, we don't descend by choice a lot of the time, and a lot of the time we cling to the edges of the earth and we don't want to go underground. We kick and scream and resist, and we get dragged down anyway, because the goddess will have what she wants, and if it's time for you to transform or time for you to do some work, it's time. And it doesn't matter if you don't want to, you get to go anyway.
Yeah, and that's exactly where he's at.
And so he talks to Garion about the doom, because he wants to know what Garion saw.
Yeah, he seems really adamant to get Garion's answer of like, what is it that you saw? I want to know.
And then they talk about what this doom is, because Garion's like, a doom, you're not dead. And Barak's like, well, a doom doesn't necessarily mean you have to die. The doom is just a terrible thing that's fated to happen, and there's stuff that's worse than death. Garion's like, well, you just let mud, that crazy old woman, into your head. You just, don't worry about it. And Barak goes on to say, to talk about that it's not just March, it's been all fortune tellers through his life. And there's like a tradition in Cherik, when a baby is born, they call in the augurers to see, to cast auguries about the baby's life, and if there's anything important or interesting that's going to happen to the baby or in their lifetime. And usually it's like a nothing thing. But for Barak, it's like, this doom was so huge that everyone could see it. And it was always the same thing, that he was going to turn into a beast.
Yeah.
And so he just wants to know what kind of beast. But it's like he's lost in this It seems like he's broken, but so often, well, not so often, every time we must, there is a breaking to get through the shell of what was to get to what we will be. There has to be that breaking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what I'm imagining is going to happen is that this doom is actually going to come out to greatly, benefit him or maybe the world or his people or something.
Yeah.
In some way later. But right now it's like going through hell.
Yeah. And that's what it feels like when we first go into that place.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like the world's falling apart.
Yeah.
Instead of actually maybe it's falling together.
Yeah, and like Garion, through all of this, he almost thinks that Barak's like going crazy, right?
He seems to be like, just kind of trying to dismiss what Barak's saying, like making small of what he's saying.
Yeah.
And I think that doesn't come from any place except discomfort for Garion, like, because he's not sure what he saw either, but he definitely saw something. He saw a bear laid over the top of Barak, so he could say you're turning into a bear, but he doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think that he doesn't, just say what he saw?
Oh, I think he's getting really scared at this point because he's dealing with this man in the green cloak and whoever he was talking to and why they're looking for him and everyone he's with. And then also almost, I don't know that he was near death or anything, but getting so injured by the boar himself, I think was a big kind of wake up call that, he can be tough, but, if even a boar can kind of knock him down, then, what's the fact that he saw Barak changing into a bear, what is that going to mean?
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. And interesting, like it's almost a throwaway comment. They're talking about fortune tellers, or Garion's saying fortune tellers are just superstitious people. One of them even came to Faldor's farm once and told Danik he was going to die twice. Isn't that silly? Garion says, isn't that silly?
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so they're talking, and then Barak sort of sinks even deeper into his horror of himself. My teeth are getting sharper, the hair on my body's getting longer. Look at them. Like, it's almost like I can imagine this manic look on his face. Look at me. Tell me that see how I'm turning into a beast. But I don't think that that's actually so. I think he's just imagining it.
Oh, okay.
Well, because physically, like, he's been described as a very hairy man. Like that time he had his shirt off and Silk was teasing him about him having so much hair on his body. That was way back in the beginning. But so I don't know. I get the feeling that he's like making it out to be much more than it is because of the shock of it all.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I think.
Like Garion says, you look exactly the same to me as you always have.
Yeah. And then I like how they threw that word berserk in here.
Yeah. Garion says, no, you just smelled Barak says, I could smell the animal on me when I just came back to myself. I could smell the animal on me. And Garion's like, well, no, that was just the boar. You just lost your head. In all the excitement. And Barak's like, no, that berserk, you mean? No, I've been berserk. This is not what that was.
Right.
What is it you like about the word?
No, there's a Japanese anime show, I think it's a movie called Berserk. And it's like 3-part series, and man, that stuff goes deep.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. There's some points that it's like disturbing, but then you get like the point and the truth of it all. It's like, oh my God. So yeah, it just took me back there.
Yeah, there's something about it that it's almost mystic, this sort of primal, not mystic, primal, this berserk kind of right down into the guts of yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, and then
Meryl comes in.
Oh, yes. While they're talking about turning into the beast, Barak's still insisting that he's turning into a beast, and Garion's saying, no, you're not. And then Meryl turns up. She steps through the door that Garion's left open and starts in on Barak. Now, I know that you you were saying that, she's just sort of giving Barak a hard time and being a bitch again, basically.
Yeah.
But there's stuff in here that I'm not perfectly comfortable with.
Like what?
Well, she's doing the whole arrogant, I'm simply concerned with you. I just want to make sure that my lord is well, I wouldn't want to neglect any of my duties. If I need to care for you, I'll care for you. And, and then Barak's like, well, quit worrying so much about cares and duties. And then I'll just read this little bit. My lord was quite insistent about certain rights and duties on the night of his return to Valorlawn, she said. Not even the locked door of my bedchamber was enough to curb his insistence.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know that I think I've touched on it before, this whole,
yeah,
it's
not the first time it's come up in this series.
Yeah, so I think that I'm reading it differently this time. There's stuff in here that I don't find amusing or as light as I did last time I read it. And so that's a shift in me. So that's something that's interesting as I read, to notice how I have changed. Like it's interesting that novels can be a reflection, like a mirror to you, reflecting back to you the way that you think differently now than you did the last time you read it. So I'm finding that a very interesting experience. But I don't like the fact that he basically raped his wife and then just goes, oh, all right, hush, I'm sorry about that. I hope things may have changed, but I was wrong. I won't bother you again. And she's like, bother? No bother. Whatever. I'm here to serve my lord and submit to you whenever you like. So, I really, yeah, you go, girl. Be a bitch as much as you like. If that had happened to me, I would fucking be a bitch too if I had the opportunity.
Yeah. I mean, that definitely makes sense. But it's, I picked up on that comment as well. And I think I saw it as like, this is like a different time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just like the world of, when Game of Thrones is set, it's supposed to be back, even though it's another world, it's supposed to be back in time somewhere.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's just the way it was, like women didn't have a voice as much, and they didn't.
It's interesting though, because, it's a reflection of society at any point in time, I think, because there are powerful women in this story. Not all the women are downtrodden and voiceless. Meryl's certainly not voiceless. So I think it does reflect all of the aspects of, and I know that it's a fantasy world, I know it's a different world, but it's written, that's the whole point of story, to make us think, to take us on a journey through what we think, why we think it, and to help us explore our lives and our world and understand things from different points of view. So
yeah,
that's just what's coming up for me. That's different this time that I'm reading it. I never worried about that much before. It was, I was much more on Barak's side. I was much more, well, Meryl's just being a bitch, but it's definitely not that way inside my head this time.
Yeah, I can see how the roles would switch when you look at it that way.
It's very interesting. Yeah, so, and then, so, Barak's like, watch out or I'll make you look after me as I'm turning into a beast. I was like, whatever, I'll just have King Anna chain you to the wall, no problem.
Yeah.
So I do like the way that she kind of fronts, and like she doesn't take any bullshit. So it's a very interesting dynamic between the two of them.
Yeah, I just think she rubbed me the wrong way.
You definitely.
Now I'm kind of like, eh.
Well, I know that I'm coming at it from a different point of view, but that's the thing. Like, this is the first time that I've read her this way. And I've read this a lot of times, And every single time she pisses me off and she annoys me and she rubs me up the wrong way.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first time that it hasn't happened like that. So maybe it takes 20 odd years of reading it before you appreciate Meryl.
It could be.
But anyway, so Garion's really uncomfortable through all this.
Yeah.
He's just kind of standing there.
So he finally gets to jump in, like change the topic.
And he does just change the topic.
I got to talk to you about something. You know,
not now, Barak says.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but Garion pushes it, of course.
Yeah. Yes, now. So, it's important.
Yeah. And tells him about the spy, that it's a man in a green cloak. And Meryl tries to dismiss it, but like, well, lots of people wear green cloaks. And then Barak's, telling her to stay out of it. So Garion tells them in detail, like, everything he saw him this morning and he followed him and that they overheard everybody talking. So, it was kind of like reading a lot of the same stuff over again here because Garion's literally explaining to them what we already read in the last chapter. So we get a repeat.
Yep, and talks about that there's a Murgo in Valalorn. These people met in the forest, and then Barak tries to question him about the Murgo, but Garion gets that compulsion, and he can't say anything more about the Murgo. He gets this stiff. His tongue got stiff again, and he just ignores Barak's question. And then talks about when they were in the forest, and he mentions the flaxen-haired man, and that changes Meryl and Barak's. That really captures their attention. They seem to know him. Did you get that?
Yeah, because she's asking, you mean he has long, pale-colored hair, no beard, a little older than Barak? Like, she's already envisioned exactly who this is.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that definitely pulls them in so that they start listening and, they...
Yeah. It's interesting the switch, like Meryl just drops the bitchy persona, and she kind of plugs into the conversation, like, and starts having a serious conversation with Barak.
Mm-hmm.
And they talk. I mean, there's stuff that it's a bit vague here. It gets a bit clearer as we go through the chapter, but they talk about this flaxen-haired guy, the one who's ordering things around and wants the spy to get close to the conversations to report back to the Murgo. They talk about this flaxen-haired guy, like it's like he was supposed to be. Oh no, I know what I'm thinking. So Garion's like, some of the things he said about Barak weren't very polite. And Meryl's like, yeah, I can imagine. Barak was one of the ones who wanted his head chopped off. So obviously this guy's done something before. And he was banished, and so he's not supposed to be there. So they know sort of who he is right away, or they suspect who he is right away. And Barak's like, well, he wants to go and tell Arneg straight away. What do you think of Meryl here?
You mean the part where she's telling him to fix himself up?
Yeah.
You look like a haystack.
Yeah.
That was funny. I liked that saying. I'm going to start using that now.
It's just this total switch. Like, she's totally dropped that antagonistic person, and she's like a concerned partner who's interested in what's going on, plugged into the conversation, and both of them seem to have this connection that they haven't had before, apparently, which I think is interesting. And so they march off up the corridor to see Arneg, and Barak's the way it's described is like all the soldiers looking at them marching up the corridor, and Garion and Meryl have to run to keep up. Because Barak's like so huge and his steps are so wide, and everyone's like shocked at his appearance. Hey, he must look like hell.
Yeah, that was a funny scene. Yeah. So they go in and they talk to King Arneg, and
they crash through the door. Treason, Arneg! Barak yells.
Right, and he's automatically just accusing somebody named the Earl of Jarvik.
Yes, so the Earl of Jarvik is the flaxen-haired man, broken his banishment and set spies in your own palace. So they talk about this for a while.
And Lady Meryl is really backing him on this now. She's like, my husband's words are true. I heard Garion say everything. You know.
And Arneg's like, oh, yep, it's okay. I'm not questioning, your honesty, Meryl. I just want to know more about it, but he's sort of surprised that she's being supportive.
Yeah. And so when they announced that it was Garion that told them all of this, then we hear Aunt Pole jump in, and she seems surprised that Garion was the one to tell them all of this.
They get Garion to tell the whole story, and then Garion starts talking straight to King Arneg, talking about the man in the green cloak and how he creeps along, and then all the times he saw him going to a tavern in the city with a Murgo. Barak says there aren't any Murgos in Choke, but I know that the man he was with was a Murgo. And again, Garion can't say Asherak's name. He has this compulsion on him. And they keep questioning him, and then Silk steps in to help. Well, maybe you know this Murgo, Well, you wouldn't know many Murgos. And says Silk, and was the one that we met in the counting house at Doreen. And as soon as Silk says Asherak, names him, Garion is able to talk about him. And Barak's like, why didn't you tell us? And Garion's like, I couldn't. The words wouldn't come out. So you take over from here, because this is your first read, and this is the important part.
Yeah, I think it's important to note that the first time Garion can acknowledge, this is the first hint I ever got that he was actually physically being stopped from saying anything. I thought he was just deciding that he didn't want to.
Is that right?
Yeah. I didn't know that there was some force stopping him.
Oh, okay.
And it's not until Silk prompts him by, well, let me see, this Murgo and this Murgo. Was it Asherak? And Garion cannot. And then it's when he says the words wouldn't come out that I'm like, oh, there's something else going on here,
Right.
And so then this is where they get into, trying to find out how often he's seen him, where he's seen him. And Aunt Pole seems to know that there's something else going on. So this is where I'm, I guess it's meant to be left, so that you're still kind of confused about what exactly it is in Garion's mind.
Did you want me to talk about it?
Yeah, if you want to talk about it, because this is where Aunt Pole and Mr. Wolf kind of start hinting that, Silk asks if Polgara knows more about it, and she says, it's possible to do it. It's never been very reliable.
Yeah.
She doesn't bother to do it herself, but it's possible. So I'm like, okay, well, what is this thing that's possible?
Yeah. So there's this touch. So when she sort of starts to wonder, what's going on, they talk about how Golems think this particular magic is impressive, but what do Golems know, basically. And so she goes up to Garion and puts her hands on his head, and she gets this. She can sense whatever this touch on his mind is. So that's what I'll call it. This touch on his mind. She can sense that it's there, and then she calls Mr. Wolf over, and Mr. Wolf, I thought it was interesting. I haven't ever noticed this before, but Polgara puts her hands on Garion's head. Mr. Wolf puts his hand on his heart to feel. And he says, yes, it's there. And I don't know, I noticed that this time, and that's the first time I've noticed that particular difference. And then Polgara right away wants to go away with Garion and investigate this further. And Wolf's like, well, it's happened now, it doesn't matter, just let's talk about this stuff and get everything out in the open. And so Garion then turns to Mr. Wolf and feels relieved that he's no longer talking to the king, but Mr. Wolf, and so just unloads everything, tells the whole story, and that he could hear everything that they were saying, repeats back to them some of the conversation, and they're all like, oh shit, yep, rightio. and Silk sort of finds the corner where the mortar's a bit crumbled away, and he says, yeah, up here, that's where they would have been, because the sound will have carried through the cracks. And then Aunt Pol, when King Rodar's sort of saying, oh, if he wants a profession when he grows up, I might have something for him, information gathering is quite a skill. He seems to have it. And Aunt Pol, well, she's a bit like, yes, well, he has those, he does those sort of things. It doesn't, she's a bit sort of unimpressed about the whole thing.
Yeah.
King Arneg's like, well, don't be too hard on him, Polgara, because, he's done us a great service.
So King Aneg, then he'll send Barak, right? He's sending Barak to find Jarvik.
Yes.
That's who he's sending him to find. And then, they make some kind of inside jokes to each other. Like, I just want to be talkative. He doesn't need to be completely intact as long as he can talk. That's all I need.
I think that they're not going to find Jarvik. They're going to find the guy in the green cloak who's working for Jarvik.
Okay. So those are two different people.
Yes.
Okay.
So the guy in the green cloak is Jarvik's spy.
Right.
And Jarvik is setting his spy to work to collect information to feed to Asherak.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so they're not too intact, of course. Just if you can talk, that's good enough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I like this next part where
King
Aneg is like thanking them for bringing them the information, and he addresses Meryl specifically too.
Yep.
And she comments of like, not at all, it was my duty.
Yeah, she's back with the mask fully in place.
But I loved how Aneg was like, there's a lot more than just duty. You got to find that out for yourself though.
Yeah.
He seems a little bit frustrated with her that she's always so about duty and nothing else.
I mean, I know that I'll probably harp on it a little bit, but it's a really good relationship dynamic, the whole over the story, the way that it develops with Barak and Meryl.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I'll let that go for now. But so Garion, Aunt Pol wants to Garion to come over, and Garion's like almost nervous to go near her.
Yeah.
So you talk about what she does. I want to get your impression.
This is the moment where she touches his hand to her hair, like they've done before, a couple times on accident, like Garion did it, or on purpose. And it seems to be that after she does this, he's able to just like spill everything without feeling the need to hold back. And he says, it's Asherak, he's followed me all my life, come to Faldor's farm. And Aunt Pol, though, stops him, and they tell him he needs to rest, and he needs to go to his room and rest, because he's gonna, he seems to feel really lightheaded. He even mentions he feels lightheaded.
He seems to be in some sort of daze, like not really with it.
Yeah. And so Aunt Pol is basically just telling him, go rest and all, and he just keeps saying, all right. And, he's not his usual kind of.
No, he seems to fall into this really innocent sort of headspace, doesn't it? Yes.
Yeah.
Just following Aunt Pol's directions like a little child.
Yeah, exactly. So whatever she did to him, I don't know, but he goes back to his room.
Well, before you go any further, she's broken the connection between him. Like, she's broken this mind connection.
Mm-hmm.
They talk about the Garion feels a surge, a welter of confusion, tingling wrench behind his ears, and then a sudden dizziness sweeps over him, and he would have fallen if Aunt Pol hadn't caught him. And that's when he can answer questions. So obviously Aunt Pol's broken whatever this spell was that was in his mind that stopped him from being able to talk about it. And I imagine it's kind of like being woken up suddenly from a dream where you're in that kind of fuzzy, confused, sort of disconnected state. That's what he feels like in here. It feels like he's disconnected from reality a little bit, like things aren't like they were. and so he doesn't quite know what they are, and is in a very impressionable kind of state. So when she says go to your room, I almost get the feeling like he's in a, what's the word I'm looking for, like almost a hypnotic state,
like in a daze.
Yeah, like just a total kind of like she's suggesting stuff and he's just willing to go with it because all of those resistances, like there's no resistance to her suggestions. So
yeah. So she's cleared his mind from whatever that block was, keeping him from talking about Asherak and everything else related to him.
Yep. So she kisses him on the forehead and run along now, dear. And then off he goes, wandering off towards his room. And I love this. I love the word bemused. He's bemused. Oh, I love that word.
Yeah, that's a good word.
Yeah. And he just kept going without stopping. So you talk about up here up to the end of the chapter.
So this is where he goes back to his room, and he sees, I don't know if I'm skipping anything in between, but he sees the soldiers kind of hanging out in the corridors. And he mentions that they look like Cherriks, just like regular soldiers. And he thinks initially that they are part of the hunt for this man in the green cloak. But then as he gets closer, he realizes that there's something really off. He kind of gets that feeling in him again, like just intuition telling him there's something wrong. And I think that's when Asherak actually steps out, or he sees him, or hears his voice.
He steps out of Garion's room.
Yeah.
Like into the corridor where Garion's backing away. He's already started backing away before Asherak comes out of the bedroom, like towards the top of the stairs that he's just walked up. So he's backstepping towards the stairs again. Asherak appears.
Yeah, and then he has that little short conversation with him about, you think that, or they think that they can help you, or you think that it's not going to keep controlling you. He's like, but I'll be able to do it again. You're not going to get away from me. We're still going to have that connection. I can do it again, or something like that. And so he orders his guards to take him. And one of them tries to kill him. And he's like, no, not dead, you idiot. I want him alive. And so we see Garion like running in the other direction to try to get away at the end of the chapter.
And I just noticed, I think I somehow skipped over this when I was reading, but that dry voice in his mind made an appearance as he was walking back to his room before Asherak appeared. His mind was sort of half asleep, but this dry voice observed to him that something significant had just happened in the breaking of the compulsion that Asherak had put on him.
Okay.
And he's not sure how he feels about it because it was such an intimate connection. And so he's kind of exploring that bond. And it felt a bit empty, and a bit, even a bit violated, because that's something that has always been there and suddenly it's not there anymore.
Right.
So
it'd be a strange feeling.
Yeah.
Have something within you just removed. Something
that you've always known. And so he sort of wasn't sure how he felt about that. And then, Asherak appeared, of course. And I love how, Asherak tries to grab his mind again and just keeps slipping. He just can't grab onto it.
Yeah.
And he says, who's done this? Polgara? I had you once, I'll have you again. And I just love how Garion's like, yeah, well, maybe, but I think you're going to have to catch me first. And he runs away.
Yeah. So a little bit of innocence and child,
Yeah, like a bit of defiance, what, you reckon? Fine, but I think you'll have to catch me first.
Yeah.
How you doing, sweetie? How's your head?
It's pretty intense. I don't know. Like,
babe, really?
Sorry if I've been like mellow through this conversation. But
it's okay. Well, let's just do a quick wrap up, hey?
Yeah.
I won't hold you here too much. I'll talk more if you like, so you don't have to plug in. So we're going to magic now.
Yeah, magic.
So my magic was Asherak's failed attempt to recapture Garion's mind. I liked that. I liked that part, that kind of the arrogance of Asherak, just thinking he can snare, Garion because he's always had him, and the way that slips, and his sudden switch into annoyance, like irritated annoyance, like what the fuck? And my magic snappy snaps aren't working. What's going on? So I like that part.
Yeah, the moment where you see like the little bit of a weakness in the villain, it's always really good.
Yeah.
Mine was, I really liked, I was trying to stay away from the obvious of Aunt Pole touching Garion's head. So I went with the moment that Aunt Pole realizes that she missed the fact that there was this like Garion's mind was tied to Asherak in some way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's really distressed. Hey.
Yeah, like just the way she reacted. To me, it seemed very unlike her. Like I feel like she would normally just act really proud about something. But I think when it comes to Garion, though, she has a really soft place in her heart for him. So the fact that he could have possibly, terrible could have happened to him because of something she overlooked, like just made her really sad and feel really bad. And of course, Mr. Wolf tries to talk her out of that. Like, nobody wants to see you beating yourself up. Just take it as a lesson learned and move on with it. So,
yeah, it's a lovely little connection between them, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really liked it.
Straight into a bit of real life relating. So mine is being witness to uncomfortable conversations between husband and wife.
That's a good one.
Who hasn't, I guess it's happened to all of us, but I can remember times when I was little, my mum and dad, when there was tension, like there'd just been an argument or something was going on that I didn't know about, because we were kids, we didn't know about this stuff. And there was this just, sometimes it would just be very uncomfortable and I didn't want to see it, or I didn't want to be around, but I didn't have any other place to go, but I would have left if I could. So, those things.
Yeah, I've been there too.
So if it wasn't obvious, that's the Barak and Meryl thing.
Right. Yeah, I kind of picked the same scene, and it's funny because we talked about this.
Oh, did you?
Pretty good already, so I think my opinion might have changed a little bit now. But what I initially wrote from my initial perspective on this scene was when Meryl comes into the room and she's just being really, really annoying. Like I felt her to be really annoying. Like regardless, I get Barak forcing himself on her gives her right for sure, but I don't know. I feel like despite even if that hadn't happened, that she might still be a little bit annoying personality in general. My whole thing was I've had people who like to hang around you just for the fact to annoy you, and they get some kind of enjoyment out of that. And it drives me crazy because I'm somebody, I just quiet, and so somebody who's going to do that to me is quickly going to be I never want to see you again in my life. Go away. Good.
Yeah, fair enough. I don't think I would be friends with Meryl. It's very childish. Okay, all right. Wow, prophecy speaks already. Our favorite part. Would you like to go first?
Yeah, I can go. So the book I'm using today is Fellowship of the Ring. I realize I'm always talking about Lord of the Rings on here, and I have yet to use this book in the prophecy. I'm what's wrong with you? So I'm going to use, it's the first book in the series. And my intention, or question, I guess, is Like, I really want to know how I can get past these dark emotions. I know that they have to come, but I don't want them to be so intense that it like completely stops my functioning, you know, and so close together too. Like, I want more, less of it and like more of the light stuff. So that's my question.
Yeah, it's like you're having contractions.
I know.
The universe is giving birth to a whole new Alysia.
Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it. That's funny. Okay, so here we go. When he returned, he was not reassuring. "We have come too far to the north," he said, "and we must find some way to turn back southwards again. If we keep on as we are going, we shall get up into the Ettendales, far north of Rivendell. That is troll country and little known to me. We could perhaps find our way through and come around to Rivendell from the north, but it would take too long, for I do not know the way, and our food would not last. So somehow or other we must find the ford of Bruinen." I'm going to read the next paragraph.
Yes, please.
It's short. The rest of the day they spent scrambling over rocky ground. They found a passage between two hills that led them into a valley running southeast, the direction that they wished to take. But towards the end of the day, they found their road again barred by a ridge of high land. Its dark edge against the sky was broken into many bare points like teeth of a blunted saw. They had a choice between going back or climbing over it.
And what did they do?
Of course they climbed over it.
Okay.
That second paragraph, I think, got really specific to my question.
Yeah.
So yeah, I need to continue to climb over the dark peak.
Sorry, babe. Labour's not finished.
Yeah. But hopefully there'll be less of them.
Oh, that's funny. And you know how Labour is, gets pretty intense there before the
Yeah.
out.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Oh, nice one.
That was good.
That was very good. Okay, so this week I am reading from the Reiki Source Book by Bronwyn and Fran Stein. I'm being a Reiki practitioner and a teacher for a long time, and I really like this guy's teachings. I like the way he talks about Reiki. I've been starting to put links in the show notes for the books that we use, like good read links, so that if people want to check out the books that we use or the authors, click through from the website. Maybe even in your podcatcher show notes, sometimes those links are clickable too. But if you ever want clickable links, you can always go to the website. So yeah, that's the book I'm reading from. And my question this week is it the right time to progress Goddess Kindled University? I've been asked to teach therapeutic guided meditation for an online organisation in their accreditation course. And alongside that, like, I've been developing a teachable school, which I call Goddess Kindled University, in the background for a year or more now, just as I'm, writing the books and coaching and therapying and stuff. So I've been building the framework. And so it feels like maybe it's the right time to flesh one of those courses out properly and just have start getting the pre-recorded courses up there, start getting the materials sorted. But there's also this other thing, and so there's a lot of teaching, sort of floating around, and how to move forward with that. If to move forward with that, is it the right time? And because I have a habit of taking on too much and overcommitting myself. and then running myself into the ground and, you know, falling apart a little bit for a while. So I don't want to do that this time. So I'm just, you know, is it the right time to progress that or not?
Sounds good.
One day he climbed Karumayama, and after 21 days of a severe discipline without eating, he suddenly felt one great Reiki over his head and attained enlightenment, and he obtained Reiki Rohoyo. Then he tried it on himself and experimented on his family members. The efficacy was immediate. What the fuck? Oh, okay. Okay, so here's a tip, guys. If you read a paragraph and it's like, I have no freaking idea how this applies, let your eyes soften, and on the same pages that you're on, or even, you know, however you feel you need to do it, just ask for clarification. Say, okay, I just need a bit more clarification. And let your eyes drift to another paragraph. And what I get now is, now and again, it is necessary to seclude yourself among deep mountains and hidden valley to restore your link to the source of life. Breathe in and let yourself soar to the ends of the universe. Breathe out and bring the cosmos back inside. Next, breathe up all the fecundity and vibrancy of the earth. Finally, blend the breath of heaven and the breath of earth with that of your own, becoming the breath of life itself. And if I combined that with the one day he climbed, and after the severe blah, 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 bang, there it was, enlightenment. It's necessary to seclude yourself. So I'm thinking that I don't need to put myself out there, but I need to keep doing the work in the background, so that one day it's going to appear like bang, it's just all there suddenly.
Yeah. And two, you remember you remember a few weeks ago you had a prophecy, in this prophecy segment you had asked specifically about whether you should take on that teaching work with the other people or not.
And what did it say?
It was basically telling you, yes, it was time to do that. So maybe.
Okay. So maybe I'm trying to spread it out to, like, make too much of it again, because I do that.
No, I do too. I do that all the time. So I think, for your own university, keep doing that in the background.
Yeah.
You know, and don't stress out about it. Trying to get it done or put something out, and just see what this other teaching opportunity has.
Beautiful. I love it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's just my opinion, though.
No, that is not that's not just your opinion. That is your intuition, and I'm very grateful that you shared it with me.
Good.
Yeah. You're in that dreamy state. You're out of it, so you're like more plugged into the divine. So
I'm like, oh, I can't wait to hear how I sound on this episode. So my prediction for the next chapter.
Sorry, I'm talking at the top of you.
It's okay. I'm saying last week my prediction was that Garion will learn some secrets from Barak about the bear thing, and action will be taken against the man in the green cloak.
That's pretty good prediction there. Yeah, so what's this week? What's next chapter gonna be?
I think that there's gonna be a confrontation between Mr. Wolf and Polgara with Asherah. That they might confront him. Ooh, I just did something weird to my screen. There we go. That I think, and during his escape, or after, something might show itself within Garion, like whatever the secret power or intuition he has might shine through even stronger than it has yet.
Okay.
I hope you guys can. If you hear a humming on my end, somebody is outside, like, I don't know if they're weed whacking or desk
They're just doing it to
dusting,
annoy you.
whatever.
They're just annoying you. That's what they're doing.
Yeah, thankfully it's right at the end, so you don't have to hear it too long. I do, but you guys.
I just have a cough. Oh God, last week I was coughing my freaking head off. Now it's coming back. It's good that we're at the end.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're all the way at the end of the episode with us, lovely listeners, use the hashtag Barak the Bear to hit us up on social media about this specific chapter. You can find us on Instagram and on Facebook at Belgariad and Beyond. You can contact us through our website. You'll find all the clickable stuff there. Send us your questions and your comments and your bits of prophecy, and, you know, have some conversations with us. We're starting to have conversations with, I know we're time traveling again. You will hear this well in the future, but I am going to start putting little shout outs to listeners. I'm going to sort of edit them in, I think, as I start editing
That's a good idea.
So if you're having conversations with us on social media, I'm going to shout you out, my darlings, because we're really grateful that you're plugging in and, you know, just mixing up some magic with us. So,
and you know, too, what might be a good encouragement is that, you know, if you post questions and stuff, if we start getting enough questions or whatever about anything, whether it's the book or what we're talking about or anything, you know, then we can start maybe doing some, you know, either like one question each episode or a Q&A episode where we just answer your guys' questions, or do like a...
Well, that would be a great bonus episode. We'll do a mailbag episode or something. I'll save up all of the questions and we'll do a special episode once we get enough questions.
Yeah, so start posting some questions. And you know, we want to be involved with you guys. So.
Yeah, so I mean, we have an email, belgariadandbeyond@gmail.com. But you'll find all of the contact information at the website. So that's the best place to go. belgariadandbeyond.goddesskindled.com.
Yeah, and of course on iTunes, you know, if you want to leave a rating or a review, we would really appreciate it so that more people can find us.
And well, that's the end of our chapter. That's the end of our chapter. That's the end of our episode for the day. I feel like it's been like a marathon.
Yeah, it was kind of long. It was a long discussion for the chapter, I think. But I was also headache the entire time, so I think that always makes something feel longer. Like I still enjoyed it, but my head is just like, wow, leave me alone.
Oh, you poor
I'm so tempted to go take an Excedrin right now, but I'm like, don't do it.
Maybe go lie down. Just do you have some lavender oil?
I'm all out. I need to restock my oils.
Okay. Well, go and do something nice for yourself. And look, if you have to take a painkiller, just maybe take an ordinary Tylenol with no caffeine.
Yeah, I tried that this morning and it didn't do anything at all.
Well, shit. You better go take a nap. That's my suggestion.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go lay down, I think. But
all right, my darling.
Anyways, have a great week, guys.
Yeah, we'll see you next week. Thanks for showing up and spending time with us.
Okay.
That's us done. Oh, sweetie, go lie down right away.
Yeah, I'm going to.